Hey guys, I just want to share. I took this 1 hour long masterclass yesterday, and it was all about keys to indistractable focus. This It was on Mind Valley, and the guest, I guess his name's Nir Eyal, and he wrote a book called Indistractable. Before that, he wrote a book called Hooked, which is all about how I guess all of our favorite apps and companies manage to keep your attention. Like that's how they make their money, of course. But he spent a lot of time studying that, and he uses that information in order to teach us how to protect ourselves and our focus, our kind of most precious commodity of time and attention. So I just want to give a quick recap of what I learned. So it's about some habit formation stuff too. A mistake repeated more than once is a decision. That one hit home a little bit. If you had the power to be indistractable, what would you be putting your focus on? So that is a really powerful question, and just answering that, can help you kind of figure out what's something that might be slipping that deserves more of your attention. He talks about distraction as like the opposite of traction. So traction are things that build traction, are actions that bring you closer to your goals, and distraction is any action that might be like, oh, but first I'm going to do this. And the worst is the type that focuses you on the urgent, the easy tasks versus the harder, important things that will actually move the dial. So, yeah, the goal is to do things you want to do based on your values. And that includes having time for rest and recovery, relaxation. So he says the time you plan to waste is not wasted time. What else? So we all have triggers for being distracted, or things that pull us away from our focus. He talks about external triggers. So this is like pings, dings, whatever. If your phone is the classic example of this. If you have your notifications on, especially like the dings, like if you have the volume on. And apparently the distraction that we get like from our phone, only 10% is those external triggers. The rest is internal triggers. So you have, let's say, like you're bored for a second in line, or you have like discomfort or anxiety or something like that, and you just seek a little, maybe it's like a dopamine hit. I'm going to quickly check if I have any new emails, new messages, new likes. I don't know. So he gives some tips about how to manage that. So he says time management requires pain management. Like you'll always find distractions if you don't deal with what those little internal triggers are that are causing you to go seek something to fill the void. So in this class, he talks about 4 keys to becoming indistractable. So the first one is master your internal triggers. It's like the desire to escape discomfort, he says, is actually like the greatest motivator with humans. It's not like seek pleasure, avoid pain. It's to escape discomfort. So we have an automatic like homeostatic response, like, oh, I don't feel like normal. What can I do to bring me back up to normal? And like if you're even like if you're a smoker, or if you used to be a smoker, you know that you feel uneasy when you haven't had one for a while and you have a cigarette. It brings you back to like neutral. You never get like, extra pleasure. It's like it takes the pain away and brings you back to like normal, acceptable feeling. So physically, our body does this. Like if it's cold, your body's going to tell you, get a coat, get me somewhere warm, whatever. So we do the same thing mentally. And he talks about you need to have basically arrows loaded, ready for you for this when this happens. one that he shared was this 10-minute rule. So when you are about to, let's say you're working on something that's important, and then you're like, I'm just quickly check Facebook or whatever. So he says, you do this 10-minute rule. So set a timer, and either for the 10 minutes to focus on the task you plan to do for 10 more minutes, or surf the urge is what he calls it. So compassionately kind of seeing what's going on with me right now. What is it that I'm trying to alleviate by going into that distraction. So he reminds us to still just be kind with yourself. It's meant to be an exploration. It's only 10 minutes anyway. And then usually by the end of that 10 minutes, you will feel ready to go back into the task you were trying to focus on in the first place. So if you have a craving for something, don't say no, because sometimes that can just backfire. And some of us are the moment you say, okay, I'm not going to eat cake for the month, how strong is your desire for cake right at that moment, right after you make that declaration? So sometimes saying no backfires. He says to say not yet. So that's much different. And as you see yourself follow through, you build efficacy, and you build confidence in seeing that you're kind of not a slave to whatever the distractions are. So that's number one. Number two, making time for traction. So if you don't plan your day, someone else is going to. And that's so true, and especially when there's a high volume of things coming in. So he says, treat your time as you would your money. You wouldn't let somebody else decide what to spend your money on. We're so sensitive about that. Why would you let somebody else determine where you spend your time and attention, your most precious commodity? So, what did you plan to do with your time? If you can't say something is a distraction if you never had another plan in the first place. If it's not distracting you from something you intended to do, it's not a distraction. You're just kind of floating around reactively, I guess, in that moment. So you can use a time box calendar. We've chatted a little bit about this. I know Nick's doing this right now. Look at your week ahead. Ask yourself, this is a strong question. How would the person I want to become spend their time on these three things? On myself, on my relationships, and on my work. So how you spend your time is a reflection of what your values are. And so you can reverse engineer this by thinking about what you want, what you kind of care about the most, what you think would have the greatest impact in your work, relationships, and yourself, your health, personal development, learning, that kind of thing. And build the time for that. Honor that time. We with Ron's calendar, for example, we have family time built in, protected on Wednesdays. Some for Wells, some for Georgia. And some people feel oh, what am I, just a business meeting? You're going to book me into your schedule. But that's just a different mindset. And the way that you can look at it is that's actually giving a special honor to your family, and you want to make sure and you protect that time and nobody else can touch it. So that's just a thing to kind of reframe. Most people spend all their time in reactive work, not reflective work. So reflective work is thinking, strategizing, creating. And it's no fault of ours. It's autopilot brings us there. And a lot of the time, the urgent, easy things, they give us a little dopamine hit. Sometimes some people even write an extra thing on their to-do list that they know is easy, or even that they've already done, for the satisfaction of that, ticking it off. So he's kind of against the to-do lists because they have no constraints. You can work hard all day and work through as much as you can on your to-do list, but there's always tasks left over. you often end up with that incomplete feeling. And this is from a different guy, Alex Lackey, but he says, completed projects are exhilarating, incomplete projects are exhausting. And I certainly feel that, like, when a project kind of drags on and on, it's like it's this low level anxiety producing sometimes, even when you're not doing anything on it, even when you're not focused on it and you don't want to focus on it. It's like a cause of stress. So that's just something that's personal with me, I guess. So measure yourself like this at the end of your day. Did I do what I said I was going to do for as long as I said, without distraction? So this is a much better way to measure your kind of focus or efficiency against the things that you wanted to build traction on. Protect time for reflective work. Ron used to have an hour or half an hour at the end of his day always for like just strategy, and that was time blocked in order to think strategically. Call a mentor or whatever. Ensure you have time for yourself and time for your friends and family, again, in the calendar. And then also the extra perk about that is, like, it's something to look forward to. Do you have a weekly check-in call with your family that are out of town? Stuff like that. It's kind of nice to have those things that built into your schedule so you don't just end up coasting along. It's especially hard with our lockdown right now. Have a bedtime. Hugh can attest to this. He's very big on sleep hygiene, and I'm hoping maybe even he'll do a little session on that for the team, perhaps. Having a packed calendar doesn't necessarily mean busy. It might just mean you're very well optimized. And the most successful people, it's not that they have more willpower than others. It's that they have a system. And the more you repeat it again and again, it becomes routine. And it's just not hard. Like, you just follow through on things because that's how you're used to operating. So that is number 2. Number 3, hack back. Oh shit, I got a session with Arnold soon. Okay, 2 more minutes. Hack back external triggers. So that's the pings and dings and blah, blah. Ask yourself, is it serving me or am I serving it? So if it comes into your consciousness and you didn't ask for it, then you're probably serving it. Newsfeed, meetings, emails, that kind of thing. So get systematic about each one individually. So, like, spend time thinking about it. And I kind of became just ruthless about protecting my attention at one point. That included every time if an email came through that I didn't want, I unsubscribe every time right away. Because each time you unsubscribe, you're saving, like, your future self from that waste of time that it doesn't deserve. So unsubscribe all the time. Notifications off. You have to take control. Ron always said, I don't know where he learned this, but you have to manage your technology or your technology will manage you. Social media is okay, but as long as it's on your terms. And they're not going to tell you, like, oh, hey, it's Facebook. You've probably had enough time scrolling today. Like, maybe take a break. They're not going to say that. So you have to do it for yourself. Number 4, prevent distractions with PAC. So this is the last step after you've done the other things. It's your last line of defense. So there's 3 types: a price pact, so like a financial disincentive. If I don't do my workout today, I have to, donate $50 to blah, blah. This author, he's even more hardcore. He has like a calendar in his bedroom closet with a $100 bill, tacked or whatever to the day. He moves it along every day. If he misses his workout, he is going to have to burn the $100 bill. So there's a lighter like up on the shelf, and that's enough incentive for him. Like, no way, I'm not missing my workout. So price pact, effort pact. So an example is you want to get off your devices, tech curfew. So you can have a timer where your modem is plugged in, that at 10 p.m. each night, it shuts off the power to the modem, so the Wi-Fi is off. And the reason it's called an effort packet is like, technically you can go turn the Wi-Fi back on, but you'd have to like get out of bed, go downstairs, unplug it, plug it back into the wall, and wait for it to reboot, blah, 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 blah. So it's just too much of a pain. And over time, something like that can build a new routine, and that'll kind of get established, and you'll just, 10 p.m. is just bedtime. Like, you won't be tempted to get on your phone because it just won't work anyway. And the other one is an identity pact. So this is just more internal, like, I decide how I spend my time. I follow my own values. Like, what would the person I want to be, what would they do? So you could say, like, every time I want to check social media and I am supposed to be focused on my work, I have to think, what would that person who is so valuable that they're about to get a raise, what would they do? Like, would they be easily distracted, or would they go kick some ass and focus? So the final thought I have with this is consistency over intensity. So small action every day. So making little changes is a whole lot more effective than trying to like do it all at once and that kind of thing. Like, if you think about these things, being indistractable, being able to focus really well, what a great skill to have. Even that means like being able to focus when you're with your family so swiftly, like drop all your work and your technology and focus on just being present. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.